everybody. It's the pixelated Lisa because she just can't figure this whole thing out. But anyway, welcome to the Mindset Reset Show, episode 3. Robert Clancy, it is always amazing to see your beautiful, beautiful, angelic face and smile. And I am so happy that we're here today because you and I have so many miraculous things going on right now. Yeah. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We're glad you're here. And forgive my pixelation. I'm still here as long as you can hear me. Robert, do I still look funny?
You always look funny, but this is the best funny that you have, so I'll go with it. You look fine.
It's because my energy is so high. We're going to just say that. Right?
You have that angelic glow.
Right, exactly. All right, so I want you to kick today's episode off because, again, you and I were talking about some of the similar things, and then you have some other surprises up your sleeve like you always do, and I love that about you.
Today's topic is about taking comfort, and it's about trust, about trusting the journey, about trusting everything around you. And I had a profound experience at the Motown Museum, which is actually the recording studio for all the Motown music. And I know a lot of other people have probably had profound experiences there recording amazing songs. But I was there, and it was 4 years to the day of the passing of my 18-year-old niece. And her favorite song was My Girl by Smokey Robinson, and it was recorded in that house. And I was standing in the recording studio, the actual recording studio, and we sang that song.
Beautiful. Wow.
And I immediately, as soon as I got done, I called my brother, because it was his daughter who passed away. And I said, guess where I am right now? I'm in Detroit, in the Detroit recording studio for Motown, and sang My Girl. And he knew exactly what I was talking about. And he just started laughing and smiling. And that's how she lived her life. And it's understanding that you can bring that anywhere, trust the signs that are around you, and take comfort in knowing that you're always held, and there's always a greater energy that's holding everything together. And I wasn't really planning on going to Motown and ended up there.
I love that.
So
it was a beautiful detour, right? Yeah.
It was a great detour in Detroit Rock City and the home of Motown. And what I learned about the Motown music was that they created music that would be shared with everyone. And it was only to bring joy and happiness in the world. And in the first few albums that they ever put out, or records, they didn't put any faces on it because they didn't want people to judge anything by the race, the creed, or the people singing or performing the songs. They just wanted them to connect with the music. And that's a beautiful journey. And really, isn't that what life is about? Connecting with the music within.
Yes.
So my thought, and when I got on the plane to fly back, these words popped into my head. It was, know the light within, and you'll never be without.
Oh my God. I was going to say amen. You know me, I'm not religious, but I'm singing praises to the chorus, the choir. Hallelujah.
And before we get into your side of the fence here.
Oh no, you go. You take it.
This is a great segue into your side of the fence.
Oh, okay.
An angel told me, an orange cowboy angel, but also I've been getting messages all day that it's somebody's birthday today, and that's why you're glowing in purple.
Well, I really wore the purple in honor of you, right? And your backdrop and your purple blue, nest. Oh yeah, it's my 59th birthday. 59 years on the planet. What a gift! What a joy! And I have to say today, because of all the work that I do and the way that I follow spirit, I am so much healthier, happier, better than I ever was.
Wonderful.
So thank you for bringing that up. It's funny, you were talking and I totally forgot about it.
Every day is a celebration. And
right?
Life itself is the gift that we all have. And the present is being present to that gift and to the love that surrounds you. And I always look at the big picture. I was out in Detroit and I had an amazing experience. I was on it's actually a national and international television show that's on all major cable networks around the world. It's actually broadcast to every state in the U.S., the entire continent of Africa, Europe. It reaches 300 million people.
That's a lot of people.
And I was on this show to talk about dealing with death, which to me is a celebration of life.
Yes.
And I talked about some of the journeys that I've had recently. And the host, actually, his father passed away 2 months ago. So it was pretty raw for him. And there were audience members afterwards. I came out, they had a live audience for the taping. And I was out in the main part of the studio, and a gentleman came up to me. He looked like kind of a construction worker kind of guy. He hugged me and said, I lost my best friend 18 years ago, and you just brought him back for me.
Wow.
And I can't even put words to that. And he was smiling ear to ear like his friend was standing next to him again. And he went on his way. And he just said, this was just an awesome show. I'm so happy that I drove over to the studio to be part of this audience.
And how does that make you feel?
Well, it's an amazing opportunity, and I'm so humbled by it, and having that gift to be on that show and to share it with Lisa Lisson, who is the CEO and president of FedEx for Canada. And her book came out called Resilience. She lost her husband at age 38.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
And he had a massive heart attack and died. But her whole life is about that word resilience, and about her words were something that resonated from her mother. She said, now that you have this, it's not what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens to you that really defines you.
Yeah.
It's really about that resilience and rising above. And I know you're going through some serious things right now with your mother.
Don't start me. I'm very emotional right now.
Now you're going to hear a trigger.
Yeah, I am raw. I'm raw. I'm blessed to be here.
I know you've talked to hospice for your mom and some other things about this transitioning. And, your mother's life is still going, and that love will never end. So that's the key to understanding everything with that, is to know you're always part of that big picture and that journey. And love is the very fabric, of the universe. It's like the thread in the fabric that holds everything together. And I had an epiphany recently about light and dark. Most people think that the darkness can exist without the light, and that the light can't exist without the dark.
Right.
But actually, believe it or not, light creates the dark, because without it, darkness would not exist at all. And it's not the other way around.
Yeah.
And that, folks, is why the light always wins a battle with the darkness, because it created it.
Yeah.
And it's not really as dark as you think. It's the shadows of that. And it's what you do with it that carries you through. And that's what I always look at as this big picture element that's out there. And then the beauty that we have to share love each and every day, and to share a smile. And the host, it's the Dr. Nandi show. And I said something at the end. I said, since my divine experience, I've smiled every day. And he said, I believe you, because you're smiling right now. And you haven't stopped smiling since you got here. And it's the greatest tool that we have. So I'm sharing my gift for you today is this smile, and you can carry that. And I know, bring it to that higher level, and know that love is always there, and your mom and everybody, and bringing that through. And today's your birthday. Today's a day to celebrate that you have this gift of another birthday with your mother, her smile, and everything that's there with you right now. And that will always be there. So that's how I always look at it. And my parents have both transitioned and crossed over. So I look at that, my perspective is, not only is my best friend and my niece, but both of my parents, I have some of the greatest cheerleaders of my life right there with me, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365, right there.
Yeah.
Always smiling, always guiding.
Yeah.
So I trust in the big picture.
Me too. But let me tell you what, I have got, besides an echo. Hold on. I don't know. I give up. Okay. You're going to have an echo. Sorry, guys.
Not coming through.
It's not coming through?
No.
Oh, yay. It's just annoying to me. Okay, cool. First of all, Robert Clancy, I want to thank you for being an incredible support to me. You pop in and you support me, and you tell me these things and you uplift me and you send me love. And I have another soulmate who sends me love every day, that I'm loved. And I'll tell you what, I just had an experience, and you guys need to know this, because, we talk about love, the concept of love, human love, which is not divine love. And I found, even just in the last couple of weeks, that my experience with this love coming at me, and this love space that I'm in, this miracle space with my mother, the opportunity that I have right now is incredible. It's miraculous. Love heals all. That all there is love. Like when you stay immersed, and you already know this, Robert, because you've been doing this for a while. I mean, my dad passed about 6-7 years ago, and it was very traumatic. But I've changed my ways. I've shifted my ways of being since that. And when you're in that space of love, it dissolves everything. Nothing else matters. The old conversations, the old anger, the old family issues, the old whatever it is. Nothing else matters. And then, of course, when your parent is dying, right, then nothing really matters then either. Just being with them. So yeah, it's really true. And trusting the journey. Okay, so did you have anything else you wanted to share about your experience on the show? Because I really wanted to share again my experience on how I got here.
You go ahead, and I'll share my journey that's ongoing as far as that. But there's a lesson in what you have. I know you had to move clear across the country and just take care of everything to be with family. And you only get one family.
Yes.
And the metaphor that I see is a tree. And the tree gets its nourishment from its roots and from the soil from which it came. But if you look at a tree, at this time of year in most places, a tree looks dead. And then it begins to rejuvenate again, and that's the cycle of life. And then you see the branches of a tree are always reaching for the light.
Yes.
And they take their nourishment from their roots. Even if you come from bad soil, they still have to understand that. And if the tree is lucky enough, it bears fruit, which then drops and goes out there and becomes more life. And that's the point of everything. It's that understanding that we're all part of that. And that's why we talk about the tree of life, because that is the perfect metaphor for life. And I recently saw a show, and they were talking about Hindu culture with Brahma, the creator, and Vishnu, the maintainer, and Shiva, the destroyer. And you think, oh, that awful Shiva destroying everything.
Right.
But without those three things, and that's why we have the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and it's in all religion, all cultures, the three, is because you need all three to have life. So if you don't have and experience some type of death, whether that's a death of where you lived and leaving that space to come to where you are, then you have no chance to grow in a new direction, because renewal is always followed by that. So death is never the end, and it's such a taboo subject. And here I am on national television tackling this taboo, not talked about subject, because we isolate ourselves from that concept because it seems awful. But without those three, you don't have renewal.
But what better guy to do it? You're the perfect guy to do it. Yeah.
You also had some birthday wishes from Betty Lee.
Oh, thank you, Betty Lee. Yes. I have so many wishes. I haven't even moved. Like it's going to take me a week because they're still pouring, and I'm absolutely stuck. Am I stuck?
No, you're not.
Looks like I'm stuck.
Sort
I don't know what I am. I'm stuck somehow, whatever, right? It's my high energy. Woo!
Yeah.
Or something like that. And by the way, Swami, thank you. Love you for, supporting me also and sending me wishes. But yeah, Robert, you're the perfect person, because I'm really experiencing this strange space with my mom. It's very surreal, because we don't address this stuff, and we don't know how to handle it. And we don't know what to say, and we don't know, what to do. And in reality, when we just stay in that space of love, and I keep my mom in the present moment too. We kid a lot, we giggle. The other night she had a piece of carrot cake and said, gotta stop eating this stuff or I'm going to die. And I giggle. And then I said, well, Mom, if you die, I'm going to kill you. So we're really keeping it light, and everybody gets to go through their process. But when you were talking about the death cycle, it reminded me again, I'm not even going to go into this, but
Yeah.
When I lost my house to fire. It was the same thing, Robert. If I wouldn't have lost everything, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah.
That was 10 years ago, and I'm not who I was. And the journey was just so beautiful because, that burning away of everything enabled the new, clear space for the new.
Right.
So yeah, that was love it at its best. So do you want to share that, or can I just share really briefly? Because
sure.
I'm intertwining this into your conversation, but I still want to bring this up because I feel like it's really important for people to hear. And so don't watch my pixelated face, just listen to my voice. And that is, the journey is so profound. And Robert was talking about trusting the journey, trusting the divine, trusting the signs that you get, the information that you get. And of course, I teach it, and Robert, you and I both live from a space of intuition, and I live from a space, I know you do too. So I'm not speaking to you, I'm speaking to all these other people, because we may seem a little out there, a little fruity, a little woo-woo, right? Because we literally, it is so important. There's nothing more important than hearing your inner wisdom. And actually, even when it doesn't make sense, because there's so much joy and so much, treasure and richness in it. So just briefly, guys, this is what I want to share also: trusting the journey, taking comfort in the divine has your back, is always there. We talked about that before in the last episode. I got a hit a couple of months ago that I was supposed to go live with my mother for 2 months. And I was like, what? Okay. Maybe I'm just supposed to spend time with her because she's almost 88. We haven't spent a lot of time together. So I sat my roommate down and I said, I got a hit that I'm supposed to go live with my mother. And she looked at me and she goes, I know. So I didn't, this is the trusting, surrender, letting go. Stop. Right. Don't ask questions. If you get the strong hit, right, and you're able to do it. Now, not everybody's able to do that. But I literally didn't know what I was doing. And I literally just said to my roommate, this February 1st is the date, right? Packed up my boxes, put them into storage.
Right.
Drove across country, 3,000 miles. Got here. And I got here just as my mother's cancer exploded all over her body on the outside. Nobody knew it was coming. My sister was getting ready to go on a vacation. She had just had a heart attack, a couple of months ago. Anyway, my sister just looked at me and my mother and said, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. And this is still the conversation we're having. And people are noticing now because it's not normal. It's not natural. It's not, you know what I mean?
Right. So, it's the key of understanding that you trust your gut. That's something that everyone can get their head around. And I'm a science-based person, so I'm very logical. And you do get the gut feeling, and it's trusting that intuition that comes from that, because that's where that phrase comes from, and you did trust that, and you made the arrangements to be there, and it is the journey that you're going to have there, and the memories and those moments are absolutely precious. Yeah.
And I'm staying in love, and I don't know what's next. This is the thing too, right? We always think that we have to have answers and we have to have what's next. And yes, there's some planning that needs to be done and all that. But if you stay in the present moment, if you trust the present moment, if you love fully in the present moment, again, my mom keeps saying, I'm dying or whatever. And I'm like, Mom, I could die tonight too. I'm in the present moment. I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I actually heard Deepak Chopra speak a year and a half, 2 years ago. And he's on stage and he said, if you think about it, every moment you're living, you're dying.
It's true.
And you're a little bit closer every second.
I know, right? What a thought. That was enlightening.
Yeah. Well.
But it's truth.
Right.
It's truth. And it's nothing to be afraid of. And I really believe that whole concept that Eckhart Tolle talks about, the dying to self, which is what has been my journey also. Yeah. Losing your attachments to things, people, outcomes, and that's where I'm at. I mean, my stuff's in storage. I'm basically homeless. I'm living at my mom's for now, right? I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. My business is at a standstill right now because I haven't been able to put any energy into it. I'm really being with my mom. I'm caretaking for my mother 24/7. But literally just staying in that space and going, you know what? Spirit, I go back to. Spirit got me here exactly at the right time, right space. Everybody's freaking out about it. It's got to be right. Yep. And that's what I take with me. And I just know that the next steps will be given when it's time if I just stay in the love now.
Right.
So yeah, it's a really profound journey, and I'm blessed and honored to be able to be here and spend the time with my mom.
Yeah, and
That's all
I have, what I get is I'm going to read an excerpt of my book. It's called The Gift, and it's the chapter that I wrote shortly after my mother's passing. And there was a gift that occurred that I didn't realize was there, and I trusted my gut. The night my mother was going to pass away, and I was guided that it was going to happen around 2:30 a.m. And it was right around midnight, and I was in the other room. She's in a nursing home at this point. She's been unconscious for almost 10 days, hadn't eaten anything for 10 days. I don't even know how she was still going. And I was working on her funeral video in the other room. And a couple things happened there. One, every picture that I found of her, I saw a smile on her face. And I thought, I grew up with that. And that was the first gift that I recognized that night. And I just asked, I said, I want to know that she's going to be okay, that you're going to take her. And I kind of looked up at heaven. When I got to the foot of her bed, both of her hands lifted up like this.
Wow.
And they just held like that. And then they just dropped like they were like somebody had held them on string and then let go of the string. And I thought, my brother looked at me and he said, what the hell just happened? And I said, they're here for her. And she's going to pass around 2:30. And I said, and I need to go home. My brother looked at me very puzzled. He said, why would you leave now? She's going to pass. And I said, that's because this moment is for you and her. That's what I was just guided by my intuition. He called me at 2:30. He said her hands went up one more time before she passed, and it was just him in the room with her. And then he said, that was the greatest gift you've ever given me.
Yeah. And that came from...
And those things. So this is the intro to that chapter.
Yes.
A gift of the heart need only be wrapped with a hug and bundled with joy. Mm. You can't run on empty, yet there are people who wake up every day with sorrow in their hearts. It takes no effort to share a smile or a word or two of kindness. These gestures may seem meaningless or insignificant, but they're worth the world to anyone holding a deep emptiness. Quite often, the greatest gift we can offer to those in need are a little compassion and some kindness. A flower never gets a chance to express the gratitude to the sun, just like you never get thanked for all of the acts of kindness you performed. But just take solace knowing that the light you've created is some beauty in the world that's touched another person. And like that flower, the best way to do that is to be open and to share your beauty with the world. And that's the love that you have. So know that you are sharing that right now with your mother. We're sharing that with others. And I want everyone watching to go and share that smile, because you have an amazing smile. It's the greatest tool that you carry.
Yes.
And be that flower, open to the light, and know that you're creating that light in the world with just that. I've heard people say that their life was saved by a simple smile because they were planning on committing suicide and somebody smiled at them. Smiles are like a virus. They're contagious, like yawns. So just start that smile and it goes out and creates that light. And that's the gift that we have. I talked to my friend, my best friend, who was diagnosed with cancer, and he had probably about a year to live at this point. And I said, we all don't know how much time that we have here on this planet. I could be taken tomorrow in a car accident or something. Mm-hmm. I said, you could go tomorrow from your cancer. Maybe your journey's shorter than mine. Maybe it's longer than mine. But every day that you live from this point to your last, you need to set up what your legacy is going to be. And your kids need to see how their dad is going to face this challenge.
Yes.
Because that's what they're going to have in their life.
Yeah.
And I saw the pain written on his family's faces the last time that I saw them all together at the holiday. I called him the next day and had that conversation. And when I went to the hospital, I got the call. He was down in Philadelphia. And I walked in, and it was during a snowstorm. I'm trying to find out what floor he's on, and I got all this racing through my head. His 14-year-old son was standing in the hallway, smiling ear to ear, and said, "Uncle Bob, Dad's upstairs. I can't wait to take you to see him." His dad was an hour away from crossing over. I walked in the room, and his daughter was holding his hand and doing fingerprints so that they'd have a memory of him. And she's smiling ear to ear. And I thought, he did it.
Yeah.
He did it. Yeah. Because that's the legacy. They know now how to face life, not death.
Yes. Yes. I love that, because that's what's happening right now. You know, again, I have an echo. As long as you can't hear it, we're good. Yeah, even my mom, I couldn't believe when, if you're taken in a car accident or something immediately, right, you don't have the opportunity. But when you're presented with an illness or something that's actually slow and progressive, you get to go through that process. And I often wonder, what's my mom thinking? So we talked about a lot of things, but the most beautiful things, Robert, are, and I know you know this, are like when I'm changing her or I'm showering her, or I'm just putting her to bed, or I'm spending time with her. Yeah. And I'm absolutely so blown away by her resiliency, by her love, by her spirit, by her worrying about me. I don't want to wake you up, Mom. I'm here for you. No, she's worried about me, and she's dying from cancer. She is resilient. She is amazing. She is joking around. There are moments that she's quiet and she's silent because she's processing. But the human spirit is so amazing. And that's why it's such a blessing. And I love what you talked about, the smile, because that's what I do. I always smile at my mom. We smile at each other. We love each other. We kiss each other, and that's what it is, being the light. Yeah. We always get to be the light. Be the light. I don't even have words for this, because it's so true. When you talk about the light and the love, which is the divine, which is what we really are, which is the truth of everything. This is all an illusion, all this other stuff. It really does. Again, everything else pales in comparison. And it's not until you have these moments. That's why I think this process of death is so beautiful, because we're living our life. We're busy. We're in our heads. We're griping about everything, right? We're not really focused on the truth of the present moment, the love, and what you're talking about. Being the
key is surrender. Surrendering to it. And I talk to people about, they're like, God, what do you want me to do today? Or they'll say, why is this happening to me? Or why would you put me through this? Why would you have me? Actually, it was a nun at a church. She was the head of the church, ran all of the things, and she wanted to dedicate her life to that. But she was diagnosed with a serious, disease, cancer, and she had to step down. And she was angry. I saw that. And I just walked over to her and I put my hands on her shoulders and I said, I know why you're stepping down. It's not because of your age. Right. And I said, there's one other thing. You're held. And she said, of all the days I needed to hear those words, today was that day. Yeah. Then she smiled, hugged me, said, you're blessed. Tears were streaming down her cheek. And sometimes it's that little adjustment. And it's not about that. It's about setting your GPS. Yes. You still need to blaze your trail through the forest. Yeah. It's not that you're looking for the clear pathway.
You got that right.
Like, how come the path is not clear? Because it's not supposed to be. But you set the point you're going, and you can't just sit there and expect the trees to move out of the way. Right. You've got to blaze your trail, and that's moving forward in some way toward your journey. And I've surrendered to that vision, and I'm just letting things unfold now. And
ditto.
Just
I know
let it happen, and I'm going to accept that. And it's so fun because I never know who I'm going to talk to that day. There might be a call or something crazy. And I've had some, like going on national television and stuff like that in the works. And you're going, this is, see what happens tomorrow. I can't wait to wake up.
But what a way to live. That's the miracle space. And I don't want to go into that because I know we're going to have guests at some point who really is going to take us there. But what I wanted to share was what came forward when you were saying that was about, first of all, number one, speaking. When you're connected to your inner GPS and you're with somebody and you have that hit and you want to say, oftentimes as humans, we want to say something. We're like, no, I don't, say it. Because when you're being prompted to say it, like you were, you can make the difference in somebody's life.
Yeah, and that conversation, that is so true. You really do need to speak up and speak from the heart.
Yes.
Your heart will write all of the most beautiful poetry it will ever need if you just speak from that point. It's not your voice. Your heart speaks louder than that.
Yes.
And I asked, permission of my friend. I said, is it all right if we take the gloves off and we be real with each other? We need to be real. And it's going to be a difficult conversation. We're going to have to handle some difficult things. And he said, sure. Yeah. And then we were able to do that journey. And if you have a compliment for someone, just say it, speak it.
Yes.
And my grandmother always had a great thing. She would tell me, she said, if something bad happens to you, tell everybody. Because then you're sharing a piece of whatever that is with everybody.
Yeah.
And if something good happens to you, hold it in for a little bit longer than you normally would, and just let it burst out when it finally does bubble up. And I've known about this television appearance for months. And I didn't even post a single thing on Facebook.
Which was hard. I know. It was because,
I wanted to just go and experience it, and then share that incredible experience with everyone. And the bigger picture is the amazing show. I had my colleague and friend Gary Stewart, who runs Constellations, an amazing soul. He's sitting next to me. He's on the same segment. I mean, who knew that we would be put together? And then I met Lisa Lisson from FedEx and her amazing journey. And each of us had this piece of the pie of what we were going to talk about in dealing with death, and just being able to share that and saying, yeah, I'm going to hand you the baton here, and you're just going to take them into the hope and this, and you're going to take them through how to be, bring that resilience to the table. And all of us experienced some major tragedy in our life recently with the passing of someone close, which we were able to share in a beautiful way. And it was a celebration of life. So I can't wait for people to watch this episode.
Me too. I can't wait to see it. Every time you say Lisa's name, I think it's me. I'm like, is that Lisa Winston?
It is Lisa.
Wait, is that me? I wasn't there. I was there in spirit. Yeah, and the thing I want to share too is that you and we've talked about this stuff, as it's happening. And what I love, because my journey is very much like yours. I'm headed in a different direction, or maybe the same. I don't know, right now, but you're in a different space. But it's so funny because what I love is that even though you are doing these things in the world and you're showing up and you're doing them, you still, this is the miracle space, guys, that you are in when you follow your inner guidance and you really move forward with it. You get to the space where these miracles happen, these things that could never happen in a million years, that the universe orchestrates divinely, perfectly, in your best and highest good, right? And Robert, it's so funny because this has happened to me as well, but I'm watching you with the TV show, right? It's happening, and you're still going, you're like, it's like, you can't, when this stuff happens, it happens to me too. I'm in such awe and such gratitude and in such a space of divine love and not even like belief. Like that's your, your whole experience the last couple weeks.
I feel like, for the show title, we're called Mindset Reset. And I feel like we have that kitschy thing at the beginning. It's like, welcome to Mindset Reset. We're not only going to reset your mind, we're going to reset your heart and your soul. And you are going to experience a life of just gratitude and generosity, and go out there and share that smile. Okay, so I just did it.
I love it. I think you should do it like it's a rap or something. Yeah. And I'll sing behind you. We'll just do the thing. All right. No, but seriously, that's what it is. Because it is a soul. Like, your mind does take over your mind, and we are resetting your mind, your paradigm, the way of thinking, the way of being. And every time we say something, like, Robert, you've done that before, where you say something, it literally shifts. Well,
the key thing is it's not just having someone else tell you to shift your mind. It's about you changing your perspective on where you are. Each of us have a journey, and each of us have the control to change the perspective. It's your perspective that you need to raise and rise above. And I always talk about, if you were in a valley lost in the forest, you'd feel pretty helpless. But if you were at the top of the mountain looking back at the valley, you'd say, oh my God, look how beautiful this is up here. And look at that sunset, and those trees look
different awesome. Perspective, right? Yeah.
It's all perspective, but how you look at it. Where you look at it, and where you look at it when you bring this to look at that. My brother and I after his daughter passed away, it was a year later. We always wanted to hike on the Appalachian Trail, and we made it to this. We did 4 peaks, 22 miles, 5,000 feet in 15 hours. I was past my physical, mental, every limit there possibly is. I mean, you're climbing rocky staircases for hours.
Yeah.
And I stop, and we're in this place that looks like Lord of the Rings because we're above the tree line, and they just have these giant rocks. You got to hop from one to another, and then there's one last peak.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think I can make that one. He said, he turned back. He's holding this staff that he found on the trail like Gandalf. He said, we have to summit that last peak for Caitlin.
Yes.
And so we get to the peak, and he looks down, and we both have tears coming out of our eyes. There's a little tiny flower up there, and it's in her color, teal, growing where no flowers. I don't even know how it would get there and how it even got.
I know how it got
there. There's only dirt and rocks above. I mean, we're above the tree line. Like nothing grows up in there. There aren't even bugs, nothing. It was just clear. And this little flower was there, and we both smiled.
And then take it further. Tell me what's happened next.
And then we went back. Oh, you mean
with the backpack, the girl with the
Oh yeah, and the next morning, we were in one of the national parks, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and he's pointing like this. He's doing this, and he's pointing out at this girl. And I turned and I did a double take because from behind it looked like his daughter, and the girl had the same exact backpack in the same color that Caitlin had. And it was he said that's a rare backpack. We had a special order that. It's not easy to find that one. And the girl looked like her too. And I just smiled, and I looked up at him, and I said, there's your sign. Yep. There she is. Yes. She's always with you.
And I love this story, and we bring it up because I want people, if there may be a lot of people that have never heard you talk about that story before, but it happens, and it's nothing that you could make happen. But again, when you follow your guidance, so when you trust, and when you stay in the love, and you walk this journey, this lifestyle, it really is a lifestyle, right, Robert? I mean, it's an everyday thing. It's a minute by minute. This stuff happens. Yeah.
Knowing that and being in that space, and it's a knowing. It's a knowing of the trust of that. And I just let this journey unfold. So go out there.
Amen again.
Both your heart and your mind. Bring that love to the world, and
be the light. Smile.
Yes, I love Dr. Nandi talks about namaste. He said it's like recognizing the light within me so I can recognize the light within you. And that's what we're doing. So
namaste, my beautiful friend. I love you. I know you have to go.
Thank you all for watching today. In the comments, drop a note. Let us know where you're from. Put some hearts in there. Share some love and get out there.
Share this out.
And I'll give you one thing. If you want to be an angel, just share a smile with the first person you see after this. Give them a hug and just share that love. So it's just as simple as sharing.
I'll share my smile.
Yeah, there you go.
With you and you and you and you.
All right.
I love you. All right, we love you guys. We'll see you soon because we're going to do an episode, I think, next week as well. So, all right, we got you. You have an amazing day. Love you, Robert.
Thanks.
Talk to you guys soon. Oh gosh, I got to find my. Hold on.
We're still on. We're still rolling.
We're still rolling, baby. And I'm still doing what I'm doing. All right, you guys have an amazing day. Be the light, and be the love. Namaste.
Namaste.
Wait for